Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CIO and Technology Executive Agenda for 2025. And thank you, because your participation in our survey this year gave us the largest global study of CIOs. We have some great data, we have fascinating insights and case studies to share with you today. We have benchmarks on technology investment and deployment. We have great data on CIO priorities. I'll be showing you just a few select key insights to inform your agenda for next year. I've also picked a set of case studies to show you how some of your peers are implementing this agenda, but there's a lot more of that data at Gartner.com. Benchmarks by region, benchmarks by geography, by industry, company size, and the like. So I encourage you to visit our Gartner Resource Center, CIO Agenda Resource Center, so you can get more and tailor it to your curiosity. To give you a flavor of what's there, I'm going to start sharing with you some data on CIO reporting, with the caveat that it's really easy to read too much into this, because of course reporting relationships reflect, personalities and very company-specific factors. But there are some trends that are worth noting, right? There at the bottom, you'll see that the share of CIOs that report to CEOs peaked during the pandemic, but it has gone down since, and it is now at 46%. The rate of CIOs that report to other business executives, like chief operating officers and heads of digital transformation, has grown, and it is now at 39% there at the top. And the share of CIOs that report to CFOs has been in steady decline for the last 5 years. All told, I think we can make an argument that it's very clear recognition of IT's strategic importance as a business enabler rather than as a cost center. When it comes to increases in IT budgets for next year, the global number, as you see there, is 3.8%, 3.3% in the US, a little less in Canada, a little more for Mexico, and even more for Brazil, reflecting those countries' growth trajectories. But if we look back at the last few years, we're going to see that seemingly we had robust growth in IT budgets. But this is growth in nominal terms. When we adjust for inflation, turns out that those IT budgets were flat during the pandemic and have actually declined in real terms since. So I think it's fair to say that we've grown accustomed to managing tight budgets because demand for IT keeps growing, driven by the desire of enterprises to be more digital and have more digital businesses. So we continue to face pressure to do more with less, show value for money, be faster, cheaper, better, more innovative. There's no rest for the weary. And to make things more challenging, the success rates of digital initiatives aren't great. On average, 48% of digital initiatives hit their business outcome targets, business outcomes. So not schedule or budget compliance, but outcomes like revenue, customer intimacy, customer experience, cost efficiency. All else equal, digital business initiatives have a less than even chance of success. You'd be better at predicting the outcome of a coin toss if you always bet on heads at 50% than you would be at predicting the success of your digital initiatives at 48%. Not a good thing. We call this the curse of random success, and we thought we needed to find ways to overcome it. So this year, we expanded our CIO survey with another survey, parallel survey, of leaders of business areas and corporate functions. Most of them direct reports to CEOs or government agency heads. And we use that voice of the C-suite to try to understand what makes digital initiatives succeed in terms of delivering their expected business results. And we found that the biggest driver of success at digital, the most powerful determinant of success, is the relationship between CIOs and the other CxOs, how close they are, how effective the CIOs are at guiding and enabling the rest of the C-suite. And we found a cohort of CIOs and CxOs that work very closely together and together co-own digital delivery. We're going to refer to them as the Digital Vanguard. CIOs and CxOs that are jointly accountable for digital initiatives, co-own and co-lead digital delivery, and are forming multidisciplinary fusion teams of IT and business area staff that come together, work together, and share responsibility for delivering results. So that's going to be called the Digital Vanguard. I'm going to refer to them throughout this presentation. It's the CIOs and the CxOs that are closest together. All right? Let me tell you why this is important. By working together, the Digital Vanguard break the curse of random success. 71% of their digital initiatives hit their outcomes targets, far above that 48%. And to be clear, this Digital Vanguard is not reflective of industry, geography, or sector, which is good news. Somebody might say, but these people are all in the tech sector. But that's not the case. We see the Digital Vanguard in every sector. So even if you think, my company is very regulated and very risk averse, that still does not prevent you from joining the Digital Vanguard. Because you as CIO have agency over this. You as CIO can and must lead the way. Your actions set the pace by helping CxOs join the Digital Vanguard. I'm going to show you the evidence for this. I'm going to explain the action steps that you can take to grow the Digital Vanguard. Digital Vanguard CxOs work together with CIOs, and they do it to co-own digital delivery end to end, not just in the early phases of digital initiatives, but across their entire life cycle. They dedicate more of their business area staff to those digital initiatives. They dedicate exactly 70% more of their business area staff to work in digital initiatives alongside IT than other CxOs, which means that they're better at resourcing multidisciplinary fusion teams. So those teams work more closely with IT, and those CxOs work more closely with their CIOs. And in fact, these CxOs meet their CIOs 4 times more often than other CxOs. So you probably know them, right? If you think about your most successful digital business initiatives in the past, the business areas that were most heavily involved in advanced analytics, the business areas that were more involved in setting the pace with digital channels, or that were pushing the bounds of automation or agitating for the use of AI, these are business areas that are probably led by Digital Vanguard CxOs. They are the leaders that are more likely to assign their best business people to work in fusion teams with IT. So you probably know them really well. One thing emerged from the data, which is that they can't get there without you. Behind every Digital Vanguard CxO, there's a Digital Vanguard CIO guiding him or her, enabling their teams, enabling them, helping them be effective at digital delivery. And very importantly, these CIOs make the time to spend with those CxOs. They nurture those executive relationships. They seek strong deputies so they can delegate execution in IT and make more of their own time available for that kind of crucial CxO relationship building, because it's very, very important. Because by making time and driving your CxOs to co-own digital initiatives, you break the curse of random success and achieve better outcomes. Digital Vanguard CxOs and CIOs see 71% of their digital initiatives hit their outcome targets versus that average of 48%. And you know what this means? If you think about it, it means that your success as a CIO is critically dependent on their success at digital. Your fortunes and your CxO's fortunes are inextricably intertwined. One cannot succeed without the other. Which is why Digital Vanguard CIOs, to get there, you need to do 2 crucial things. You need to make it easier for other CxOs to co-lead digital with you, and you need to make it easier for their employees to build digital with your IT staff. In other words, to grow the Digital Vanguard, we need to make it easier for business areas to lead and build digital together with IT. Easier for those CxOs to lead, easier for those business area staff to build digital together with IT. And that's going to be the centerpiece of our 2025 CIO agenda, to make it easier to lead and build digital together with IT. And to do that, we're going to offer 4 key action steps. The first one, provide easy-to-use, compelling digital platforms, not just for IT staff, but for technologists across the enterprise. The second one, the need to instill architectural awareness to ensure that technologists in the enterprise all work in architecturally sound and secure ways. 3, the need to co-create business innovation with business areas. And number 4, develop all technologists, making sure that our workforce plans encompass technologists in IT and technologists in business areas. I'm going to take each of them in turn. I'm going to share you some of the data and illustrate it with case studies, starting with why it's so important to provide easy-to-use platforms. These are the main areas of growth in technology investment from 2025 coming from our survey. Thanks again for sharing that data with us. You can see that most CIOs plan to invest more in foundational capabilities like cybersecurity, and then in Gen AI, artificial intelligence, business intelligence, and analytics. These essentially are the digital foundations, the digital workbenches for digital initiatives. But perhaps more important than the question of how much is the question of for whom. Who is this investment for? Are we investing in the digital foundations for IT staff only? Because these days, there's a lot of technologists working outside of IT departments, right? Raise your hands if you've seen them. If you've seen technologists working outside of your IT organization, decision scientists, citizen developers, software engineers that work outside of IT areas. They're everywhere, right? We've all seen them. When we asked CxOs, they told us that they dedicate on average 26% of their business area staff to technology work, to building, implementing, or managing technology. So these people are all over, right? They're your finance staff that are doing advanced modeling, Python developers in marketing, software engineers in research and development, HR staff that are doing workforce analytics. And advances in cloud and low code and no code and artificial intelligence have made the tools far more accessible, far more sophisticated, and far more widespread. So we need to take that into account as we invest in these foundational platforms to ensure that our teams don't fall into the old trap of assuming that if you build it, they will come. And instead, be very intentional about driving high levels of adoption by technologists across the whole enterprise. And it turns out that Digital Vanguard CIOs do prioritize platform adoption and seek to elevate the platform experience for all technologists, not just those in IT, and do it intentionally and do it as a priority. Let me share with you one very interesting example of this, and it comes from Verizon, the global telco. Obviously, a company with a very strong engineering culture and lots of business-led experimentation. Shankar Arumugavelu wanted to harness that energy efficiently, effectively, and safely. And so their IT organization crafted a compelling platform offering for all of their technologists. At the bottom, you see the Verizon Enterprise Gen AI Services Platform, or as they call it, wait for it, Vegas, which shows that they have a sense of humor about the size of the bet they're placing on AI. Atop, you see the Gen AI Center of Excellence, which helps multidisciplinary fusion teams implement AI initiatives. But the magic, the most interesting part of their approach is this middle layer, the Gen AI design patterns that play the role of translator, that make it easy for the fusion teams to reuse components, APIs, and guided workflows with appropriate governance guardrails built in. And this is super important. Rather than manage governance by policy alone, they embed governance in these design patterns. They create pre-approved workflows and templates that facilitate reuse and keep the use cases within guardrails, which helps all technologists, those in IT, those in business areas, produce Gen AI applications easily, efficiently, and safely, which allows them to accelerate the deployment of Gen AI across the enterprise. Bottom line, 2025 is a year in which CIOs must make it easier for all technologists, not just those in IT, to use digital platforms to produce digital solutions and take into account that many technologists reside outside of IT, that many business end users are also co-producers of technology with IT. So that's the first agenda item for next year. The second imperative for CIOs next year is to instill architectural awareness among all technologists. And when I talk about architectural awareness in practical terms, I mean minding technology and business interdependencies, making sure that our staff understand how to manage technology vendors, the total cost of digital delivery, not just the cost to build, but the total cost across the life cycle, how to manage backlogs, cybersecurity, enterprise architecture, why it's so important. You might think that CxOs don't want to hear that, but in fact, they do. CxOs in the Digital Vanguard value IT's advice more than other CxOs. IT's advice on vendor management, on enterprise architecture, on total cost of ownership, on cybersecurity. They value that advice, but the problem is that only 15% of enterprise architecture teams teach stakeholders that kind of architectural awareness. Only 15% of EA teams turn their attention beyond IT to help business areas, business technologists build architecturally sound and secure solutions. I'm going to show you a really good example of how to make architecture advice easy to consume, and it comes to us from Teach for America. They are a nonprofit that places recent college grads in teaching jobs. So think about this population, right? They're all digital native. They came of age in the era of TikTok and Instagram. And Alan Murray knows that his IT team can't possibly meet all of their needs. So he's formed an enablement team to teach and provide architectural guidance to those groups. It's a team that encompasses experts in enterprise architecture, IT finance, cybersecurity, that sets standards, but also are focused on teaching others how to think holistically when building digital solutions, sensitizing them why architecture is so important, helping them think like an IT security professional, helping them understand end-to-end the total finances of IT work. So their job is to teach others how to deliver digital solutions in a safe, secure, and highly collaborative manner. And it's a focus that requires changing how IT works, changing how IT thinks, to help producers of technology that reside beyond IT. And that is a key characteristic of CIOs that are part of this Digital Vanguard. 80% of Digital Vanguard CIOs adapt their ways of working of IT to support technologists in business areas, to foster that kind of cross-silo collaboration, to make it easier for technologists beyond IT to work with IT. So 2025 is a year in which we must make it easier for all technologists in the enterprise to work with IT. Now, architectural awareness, architecture is one of those abstract constructs that is hard sometimes to convey. It's good to explain it with an example. So, meet the Winchester Mystery House. How many of you have been to the Winchester Mystery House, first of all? I see a few hands there. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's in San Jose, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and it is the dream home of Sarah Winchester, who was the heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune, the rifles that, according to some, won the West. Legend has it that she was cursed by the ghost of the rifle victims, and that to keep them away, she needed to oversee constant construction. So renovations of the house started in 1886, and they continued for 36 years, resulting in an enormous mansion, a statement of great wealth, foreseeing, I guess, what was going to happen in Silicon Valley. It's a house with 24,000 square feet, 160 rooms, 10,000 windows, 47 fireplaces, 6 kitchens. It had it all, except architects. So 65 doors opened to nothing. 13 staircases led to nowhere. 24 skylights were embedded in the floors. You have to be careful where you were watching. and the locks were not standardized. So poor old Mrs. Winchester had to carry buckets of keys as she walked through the house because, of course, she kept the doors locked because of the curse and the ghosts. The Winchester house has always been a good way of illustrating the importance of architecture. I would argue that it's particularly important now that business areas are more directly involved in co-leading digital initiatives. So I offer it as a good example, a fun example, to explain the value of architecture and why it's so critical to instill that architectural awareness.